Hi, I'm Jok3R-R. On today's show, well, we're back working on the Batt Cave Mini, and today is the day we're going to take it for its first ever run and shakedown. Now, the one issue is I have nowhere else to drive this. You can't take it out in the street and drive it. That's not going to give you anything to actually start to dial it in to see how it behaves. And being that I've never driven one of these before, I'm pure buggies. Yeah, learning curve might be a little bit tricky. Also, I have no clue about setups on these, so there's going to be a steep learning curve. So if you'd like to see that, you better stay tuned. Right, let's head off to the track. So I headed off to my local friendly club, which is South Cams in Papworth, just outside Cambridge. Now there's a lot of tasty drivers here, so hopefully I can get some hints and tips on setup. And really, I have no clue. So you're a Batt Cave driver, are you?
Now, as of
Ooh, fancy. Cool, nice one. They are lovely though, I must admit.
Yeah, it's been a very good car. Made me fall in love with the hobby again.
Because I was up at Crewe. I went to deliver a car and they were running the minis there and they looked so good going round. So I thought to myself, because I just run buggies, so I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And I saw a lot of people were really saying, get the Batt Cave, get the Batt Cave. Apparently it was easier to drive out the box as well.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a go. I've never driven one at all. I'm all pure buggies, so I have no idea how this is going to go.
Yeah. I say when I got mine, straight out of the box.
Yeah.
Just drove well.
That's cool.
All the other cars I've driven straight out of the box to this day.
They had nightmares.
Yeah.
Same with buggies as well. Can you have reverse or only forward? Depends on the club, is it?
Yeah, most places you can have reverse because it's a beginner class, entry class. But when you go to like mini masters,
right.
you're not supposed to have it.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't got the programming for it, so I don't have reverse. But that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to buy it if I drive it lots, then I'll buy it. But there we go.
But the thing is, if you don't have reverse, you drive better.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for helping me out a little bit.
That's all right.
See how it goes.
Yeah.
No idea.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh. So the first thing that jumps to mind as I go around the track for the very first time is just how twitchy and sensitive the car is. It's way too sensitive. I'm literally steering using my fingertips and barely moving. So obviously there's a few things I can do here. I can dial down the steering on the transmitter. On this run I do have the diff in, as I just wanted to see what it's like. In hindsight, I think really I needed to set up the Mini first and get it dialed in, and then try the diff in and out to see what that brings to the party. At the moment the car is not set up at all, and then I've got a diff in it as well, which is probably making it a lot more twitchy and the rotation. So after this run I take it out and just go back to stock. But later on in a couple of videos, if I get the car dialed in better, I will actually swap it out again so that I can see what it actually does to the car different. But at the moment there's just too much going on. Try that, too. What you think of it. It's as twitchy as anything. 4, 3, 1, 7, 2, 5, 6. It's still quite sensitive. It's more planted. Yeah, it's not.
It's nothing at the back.
Yeah. Yours is easier to drive.
Yeah, it's just not.
It's not as twitchy on the rear.
No, so it's just not doing anything on the rear.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is some drives it.
Yeah, it was quite hot. It was quite hot.
Your punches as well.
So the first thing to do was to pull the diff. It doesn't take very long at all, just slides off, and then you just replaced the parts that came in the kit. Then I was recommended to go to blue thick band and thin band, which I think is the middle. South Cams is quite bumpy because of the wood parquet floor under the carpet, so I adjust the ride height a little bit just to bring it up, and then we gave it another go.
4 there, 3 here.
Yeah. So does it need to be the same?
I've got 1/2 mil.
Adjusting the ride height was really easy. You just undo 2 screws that hold the arm in place, and then the shim slides in from the bottom. Another aspect that I hadn't done at all was to put some thick oil on the suspension shafts. You smear it on the front and the rear, so that helps with the dampening. Yep.
That change of direction.
Yeah.
It's not doing the change of direction.
No, the back and the front are very talking to each other differently, aren't they?
3, 4, 1.
It's getting there.
You've got the grip, but it's not like in the
Yeah, the transition.
4-1.
So the changes had helped. It hadn't dialed out the twitchiness of the rear, managed to calm down the steering a little bit. The biggest challenge was getting the front and rear to work together, whereas I found I had the grip and the steering, but then the back would be quite loose. But as you can see from this run, I'm a little bit better. Obviously my experience of driving the car goes up a little bit, and I managed to stay with the driver in front of me just about. So this is the time from my previous run and this run that's just gone, and I'm happy to report things are improving. Obviously a big part of that is my experience with the car, but also the changes are definitely a positive one. So after my first evening's racing, where have we got to? Well, we've definitely taken a step forward. A massive thanks to James Cowley. He really helped me out. His Mini was on fire, and a lot of the advice he gave me did make a lot of difference. He actually lent me a set of tyres to try, and that did help as well, which is why I've picked up some more tyres, but we'll talk about that in a second. The biggest thing for me is learning how to get the front and rear to talk to each other and all the changes. It surprised me how many things you can adapt and change to dial in the car. So obviously there's a big learning curve from that point of view, but having people helping me makes a lot of difference, especially explaining stuff. The thing I'm still challenged to work on is the rear. The front had a nice turn in and it had enough grip. It wasn't understeering. And I like the front. The front is a lot closer to working. Getting the rear to talk to the front is a little bit more of a challenge. Changing over the tyres and using James's tyres did bring it much closer. The biggest thing I found was the transition when you go from one side to another as it throws the weight. The front would hold, but the rear would spin. Obviously, being such a short wheelbase, you want the front and rear to talk to each other. Otherwise, you're just tiptoeing round. I did have to turn down a lot of the settings in my transmitter so that I could get it to run smoother. At the moment, I'm not looking for outright pace, I'm looking for balance. So there's still much more work to do in the rear of the car. In the next episode, I've got a few bits and pieces that I'm going to try to improve it and make it go faster. So the things I purchased after borrowing James's tyres, he gave me a set of Camtech Ultra. So that gave me a lot more grip on the rear and basically brought the rear closer to the front. So I picked up some of those. I'm not sure once I put those on how the balance is going to mess around with. So I picked up some mid-front tyres and some super soft front tyres. So that's given me some grip to play around with at the front as well as the rear should. So I'm hoping the rear is going to come up and then it's going to balance nicely. But if it doesn't, I've got some more fronts to play around with to try and help. Another thing I didn't have, which you definitely need to get, is some Spider Gripper Blue, which everybody seemed to be using. I've picked up a few other bits and pieces. One thing Batcave actually do is a little tiny rear weight that you put on the motor cage at the back to help balance that out. So that's coming in the next episode. The pinion choice that I've gone with, I didn't really mess around with the pinions when I was out the other day. Mainly because I'm not looking for speed, I'm looking for balance, and then we can mess around with the pinions later on. It didn't feel like it was slow at all, so I felt that I was in a reasonable position for the track I was racing on. A lot of it is just messing around with ride heights and grips. Another thing that I actually did, I fitted the second bumper. I did see that someone else had done this. So the bumper on the bottom here is the one that goes with this body. but I found that I was getting a little bit of cracking starting up here as it was flexing. So I fitted the second bumper on, and then I've stuck it down to make this a little bit more strength higher up. So hopefully that's going to protect it, as well as I have reinforced this again, and then I dremeled out the cut. It's just starting, but if I'd have left it, it would then start splitting. So I've then just dremeled it round. I don't know if you can really see, but the body held up reasonably well considering I was banging into quite a few stuff. The other side is perfectly fine, no issues at all. I have ordered another fat body, but that's obviously just for down the line when this one gets really tatty. In the next episode, I've also got to fit, there's some version 2 front arms, which apparently are supposed to be stronger, which is going to be good for my driving. So I'm going to fit those as well. So I'd just like to say a massive thanks to James Cowley for really helping me out. Definitely got me a lot further along. I've got to get some more oil to go in the front and the rear. He put some on for me, but you kind of smear it on, which is a whole new thing for me. Now, if you want to know what I've spent so far, I've made a big list of all the costs. Some of them are obviously going to be more suited to me, so you know, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, but I'll tell you what I've spent. So the Jok3R-R kit was $119.99. The motor that's in this one is the 25.5 brushless, which I got from them as well. That was $44.99. The servo I got from them as well. That was $29.99. The transponder, now this is where it gets very expensive. Now I bought the transponder, it's probably one of the most expensive ones, because I wanted it to work all clubs wherever I go, so that I don't have to mess around. Best thing you can do is talk to your local club and find out what they've got. But you can get transmitters from about £40 all the way up to £125. So that's going to skew the figures a little bit. Then I've got the Orca ESC. This one I can highly recommend. It's really nice. Now, after talking to a lot of other people that were driving minis the other day, a lot of them were looking at getting into this one. It's a little bit more expensive at £70, but being that space is actually quite limited here, its size and not having to run the fan works really well, and the quality is lovely. So I picked up one of those for £70. The controller card, or the programming card, that is another £37.99. I've just bought one of those. It will come for the next episode, and I'll play around with it and I'll show you it as well. Then we got the motor wire, that's £3.49. The transmitter that I'm using and the receiver, I'm using my FlySky Noble NB4. That is way overkill if you're just starting out. You wouldn't spend that much. Now that's roughly £200 depending on which version you get. So you can get transmitters and receivers from around £40–50. So again, take that, you know, into account, that if you're starting out, you probably wouldn't rush out and buy a FlySky transmitter. I use it for my buggies, so it's just easy for me to use it in this as well. Pinions £3.95. Obviously you can buy a pack of them if you want to have a whole range, but starting out you might just want to get one. The side bands on here, they are $1.99, gives you a whole range of bands that you can use. Then a set of wheels and tyres, and this is probably one where you're going to spend quite a lot more, is I worked it out as a full set is going to cost you about £15, and that's if you've bought them and they're trued for you. Buying a tyre truer is quite expensive, and that's something you would probably do when you're way down the line, but you can buy them done for you, which is what I've done. The body, these are $16.99, and there's a few different versions you can get, obviously. Then paint, I put £15 down, but it depends, you could buy one tin, spray it and be done with it. Then a battery, 2S LiPo, again varies massively, but mine are just under £30 for one. You probably only need 2 batteries for a whole evening. You could probably get away with one if you can charge it as well, because it takes so little power. I took four fully charged LiPos, and I brought 4 LiPos back, all that had 85% after a run. So that was a bit crazy. So next time I won't do that as well, as I had to discharge them all later on. Spider Gripper Blue, which we had here, that was $15.99. So in total, so far, I've spent £738.86. Yeah, there's quite a lot. But if you take off the more expensive things that I've purchased, you're probably looking, you could get into it for around £500. So that might sound like a lot, but to go racing, it's probably one of the lowest you're going to get. When you think if you buy a racing buggy, you're probably going to be into just the kit alone at that price, £300 to £500, before you spend all the money on electronics and everything. Obviously, I didn't put in a charger there as well, so you would need to factor that in if you don't have one. Another £50, say, so £550 maybe you can get it up and running. Highly recommend as well if you keep an eye out for second-hand stuff, because you can save yourself a fortune if you can pick yourself up a second-hand one as well. So in the next episode, we'll do all those changes and modifications, and we'll take it racing again. Well, if you're interested to see how I get on at the next race meet, well, you better stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe. Thanks so much. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.